Okay, we're recording the webinar. This is the same webinar I did in New York City this past weekend. It's on March 1st, 2015. So let me give you the ground rules. I got my golden retriever with me who hears noise outside, so from time to time she may yap. I'll try to cut it out of the recording, but I'm expecting her to yap every so often because she's in technically a new environment over here. And we're going to go through the slides. We're going to take our time, and we'll get through them. I have the ability to draw on them also, so it's not going to be a normal presentation where we're restricted to 1 hour. If it goes over, that's fine. All right, so just sit back. If you have to leave, we're going to record it and put it on the website. All right, so let's get going here. Okay. We're going to go into harmonics today on the presentation, market geometry and market harmonics. And they tie together. And what we're going to do is we're going to show the history on them. We're going to show some concepts. And then we're going to show some actual patterns. And then we're going to draw one out. Or we're going to draw one out, and then we're going to show some actual patterns. So it's going to be nice. We'll get through it. And after this, you'll be much more educated on what market harmonics are and market geometry. Now, when I do public presentations, there's a disclaimer that's put out and basically says if you can't afford to trade, don't do it. All right? It says you can lose money, you can make money, and there's a lot of risk involved. And typically when I start my seminars, I like to put up a quote. In this quote, it's not the critic who counts. It's not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or whether doer deeds could have done better. And it applies to trading, applies to network marketing. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, which is you, the trader, or the network marketer who's getting educated in the trading arena or building your network marketing business. There is nothing easy that you're going to become very successful at. It looks easy, like, for instance, Mark Zuckerberg, right? Looked like it was easy. All he had to do was just put up something in. But there was a lot of pain and anguish going through the years of success to get where he wanted to be, although it was a short period of time. Traders and network marketers, they go through this. Hold on one second. Hold on a second. Let me just get there. They go through this phase of pain and stress because it's a tough industry, but yet you get to earn a lot of money later on, both in the network marketing arena and in the trading arena. So those who, you the traders, you the networker, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly in your error and come up short and short again, we know this, right? We know this. You have a great trade and all of a sudden you realize you put on the smallest position, or you forgot to do something, or you're in the network marketing arena. You have this one guy that's going to make you rich. He's going to get in, and you go to sign him up, and he went into a sock land, disappeared, he changed his phone number. Happens. All right? So this whole thing is about us. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or whether doer deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena. It's us, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errors and errors, shortcomings again and again, because there is no effort without error or shortcomings. Remember that. There's no effort. If you don't do anything, you're not going to get anything. If you are not making mistakes, that means you're not doing enough. But who actually strives to do the deed? Those who know the great enthusiasm, those who know the great devotions. We spend ourselves for a worthy cause, because in the end, we know the triumph of high achievement. And at worst, if we fail by daring greatly. So his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who never know victory or defeat, the armchair quarterbacks, those who point their finger at us. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. This is probably one of the greatest quotes I've ever read, and I'll continue to read it. I love it. So every single day when you get up in front of your computer, you get out there, just know that the others are not willing to do what you do, so they'll never have what you have in life. All right? Do a little bit now when others won't do it so you could have what they can't. Think about that. We're going to get into market harmonics. Now, some of this stuff may be foreign to you, Greek. I noticed there were a couple of you on with us that have been watching the chat room, and there's others that have just getting started, and there's those of you that are going to watch this recording and say, what is he talking about? I have a little bit of a slight cold, so I may sniffle as we go along. In 1935, H.M. Gartley discovered a reversal pattern that appeared on page 222 of his book. It's called Profits in the Stock Market. In 1997, Larry Pesavento, who is a big trader, big well-known educator, discovered the Gartley 222 pattern, and soon after that, Bryce Gilmore, who's somebody I truly respect, had coined it the butterfly pattern. Bryce Gilmore in his books has used since the late 90s, where he has drawn out the XABCD patterns, which is based around market geometry and Fibonacci levels. Bryce is retired right now. Scott Carney from 98 to 2001 had added the bat, the crab, and defined the ratios which patterns the shark cipher. However, much of his work are all derivatives of the complex ABCD patterns. Harmonic patterns are a way to identify key turning points based upon strict price structure and Fibonacci ratios. So if that didn't make sense to you, don't worry about it. We're going to go through and we're going to learn some more here. Okay, simple. When we're looking at the markets, it all surrounds itself around the around the A, B, C, D, or what we call an A to B, C to D relationship. So for instance, if this was 10 points, this would typically be around 10 points. If this was A to B equals C to D, if this was an A to B times 618, this would be 6.18 points. So A to B equals C to D. It also determines if it's part of a Fibonacci ratio, which we're going to highlight in a minute. The other one we have, and this is called impulsive. So when you're going up, you have an impulsive A to B, C to D. Where you have a corrective, this is this A to B, C to D. Hold on one second, okay? Sorry about that. Okay, and this is a corrective A to B, C to D. So if this correction is 5 points, we would look at this as 5 points. So this is really the core. These A to B, C to D relationships are really the core. It's all ink on slide. And that's where we typically start from, is our A to B, C to D relationship. So we're going to get into a few of them right now. Okay. In this example, the AUD-CAD, it's a daily chart. And you have impulse. See the impulse? And then you have a correction, then you have another impulse. So these two lines right here turn into an A to B, C to D relationship. Here's another one. So I'm going to take you forward a little bit and show you what we're truly going to end up looking at. So we have this, we have this, we have this, and we have this. And it ends up being this pretty butterfly-ish type of pattern, or Gartley. And this is where it all starts. So the A to B, C to D is real important because we want to identify these turning points. It's not because we just want to identify an A to B, C to D. There's coordinates from here that go to here, and from here that go to here, and from here that go to here. During the harmonic phase, really it's all about the B, C, D, and the X, A, D. But we're always trying to identify this area right here. I'm sorry for my mouse. Okay. And once again, we see the A to B, C to D. And you could always see the patterns within them. We're not going to get too deep into that right now. All right, here's another one. All right. If we want, we just draw this in, and you can see it right here. See that? Pretty little pattern. This would be the X. This would be the A, B, C, D. So you see how the A to B, C to D. In this case, this is called a butterfly. You can see how the coordinates all connect, and everything's about the D area. Sometimes you don't have any patterns within it, and you're just getting that A to B, C to D. And what we look at in market geometry or trading is just basically the equal swings. And we look at them where markets can turn. All right. We have retracement levels. Retracement levels mean when the market goes from low to high and retrace down. That's considered a retracement level. And we have 38, 50, 618, as you see here. I'm going to start slowing it up a little bit and going through because I don't want to get too far ahead. But the other slides were basically just warm-ups to get to what we're really going to start looking at. So we have our A to B, and then you have your retracement levels. Same thing on the downside. If the market goes down, it will retrace up. It will retrace 38%, 50%, 618. And we know that within a strongly trending market, that if the market goes 38 to 50%, that's a shallow and can lead to a lot more downside. Should the market come up a 618 or an 886 and come all the way back up, we know that it's weak and may not make too far of a move back down. We also have projections, and we're back to the A to B, C to D. A to B, say it's 10 points, and remember the impulsive, C to D, 10 points. So that is a projection. So if this is 10 points, that potentially can be 10 points, but let's just say, and that would be the 100%. Let's just say if we had a 1618 projection. If this is 10 points, this would be times 1.618 would be 16.8 points. Follow? If we do it as a 618, this would be 6.8 points, the C to D. So A to B equals C to D. We also have extension levels, which are within the context of that A to B, C to D. We look at the B, C, D. I know that's wrong right there. What we're saying here is that this is 10 points and this is a 1618 extension, that this would be 16.8 points on the way up. So B to D, B to C equals D. Hold on. All right. So that's the A to B times percentage equal extension. Extension means that price comes down so much and extends back up. That's an extension. So now we're going to go through the Gartley pattern. The Gartley, as we talked about, was the first pattern that was discovered in around 1997 from Larry Pesavento, which was out of a book. And basically what it looked like in the book was, and that was it. That's what the guy drew. So he literally just drew that. And Larry had taken and put some coordinates together to determine the specifics of it, and he came out with the Gartley pattern. So the Gartley pattern is made up of X, and then that A to B, C to D relationship. So what they call an X, A, B, C, D. X, A, B, C, D. Can't really draw with this pen, but that's what it says. Okay, so it's your X, A, B, C, D, and it's drawn out nice and pretty. Now, the X to AB right here, which is X, A, B, is a retracement. The next level is XAD. X, A, D is a retracement. The BCD, all right, ABC, sorry, A down to B retraces up to C. A to B, C to D is in a projection. So your A to B, C to D, see that? And then the BCD extension. Here's your BCD, BCD extension. What we're looking for always is D. We're looking to buy D. When you enter into D, your stop loss is right below the X, right down here. Okay? What I'd like to do is when we find the buy area, a lot of people just buy and we put a risk, put 100 pip risk. For example, say this is 100 pips, or you could wait for the market to find some short term for an entry and then find a short-term impulse up, support, and then higher, and you can buy this. Or you can look for something where maybe it goes up, down, and forms its own little minor Gartley pattern. See that? And you're putting your risk down here. So depending on how tight you want to define your risk, that's fine. A lot of times if we do this on a smaller time frame, the market may still want to have another correction phase down before going higher, but at least you could identify some key support areas. The coordinates for this are XAB, which is X, A, B, is a 618 retracement. The ABC will come in at 32% retracement or an 886. Retracement. The XAD, XAD will come in at a strict 786. Now, I don't know why they picked these ratios. These were done back 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, and they put these ratios together, and whatever it is, it works. So Larry Pesavento, in my eyes, is a genius to make all this work. Him and the Scott Carneys and the Bryce Gilmores were doing this before there was a Facebook, before there was all this media, and they were doing it by hand on their screens. Okay, so this was done many, many moons ago. It's like asking, you know, who built the pyramids of Giza or something. You know, so like, how did they do it? I don't know. They just came up with these ratios and they did their testing, and whatever it was, it worked and created these patterns. The BCD extension has to come down with the 1272 to 1618. BCD. Now, if you're watching this in video, when we're going to record it, if you're watching this video, you could just rewind it. Those of you watching me live, just wait till the video's over, rewind it if you have to go over the extensions and projections and retracements again, okay? The risk, as I said, is 103%. This would be 100, okay? And then you got your 103. Meaning that from X to A, if you retrace down, say, 618, 61%, this would be 78.6%. This is 100%. So your risk is below 100%. Then your targets on the upside. So if you were to buy here, your targets would be 38% of the move from B down to D, would be 50%, 618%, and then 100% of this move. So C, D, up 38, 62, 100%. Those are your targets. Okay, typically when we get a chart, this is what it looks like. A blank chart, a blank slate. And to a trader, it's all, it's art and science. And the art part is what we're going to draw, and the science part are the numbers we put in. And this would be what we look at typically, just a bunch of bars on a chart, and we have to determine whether the market's going to stop going up or go down. And what we're going to do now is we're going to draw in a pattern. Okay? We're going to draw in the pattern. You can hear my golden retriever going nuts. Hold on one second. Let me just let her out of the room. I apologize. Anybody who knows me knows Ronnie, my golden retriever, is the queen of the house. She gets whatever she wants. She has like 37 bones. She has 5 beds. And I take her to go get puppuccino every day at Starbucks. Every day we have a date at Starbucks, and they give her a cup of cream, a little cup of cream, and we pull up to the window, and she hangs out the window, and they give it to her, and they actually feed her from Starbucks. This is how small of a town that I live in at this point, and I come from New York City. I come from a place where nobody knows anybody. You can see the same person. You won't see the same person twice. And now living in a small town for temporarily, you see the same people over and over again. So at Starbucks, they actually know her name, believe it or not. That's weird. So this is what we're drawing in. We're drawing in the perfect Gartley pattern, essentially. So we're going to go ahead and draw in the slides. So what we're looking for is from X to A to be an impulsive leg to the downside. You see that sharp move down? We want to see that. Okay, we want to see that sharp move down. Here, if we look over here, right, we've got a sharp move down by a sharp move up, and then you have your correction down, back up, and if we want, we could draw in a pattern, and this actually will become a pattern, all right? But these right here, what we're looking at is, we're not going to worry about that one. This is X high down to A low. Impulsive down is telling us that this is the structure for the further pattern to come. Now, in the beginning, when the market's down here, we don't know this is going to happen. It's only when this all develops that you see it, and you have plenty of time to see it. It's not that you don't. By the time the market's in this area, you got weeks before it even hits this part, right? It's a daily chart. Daily chart, that means each bar is a day. So when you're up here, you see it forming, and we put the pattern together. So the move down is the initial move, the impulse leg, and that's from X to A. Now, the first retracement we want to see is a 618 retracement right here. Because it fell short, that's okay. It didn't exceed it, but it fell short. Typically, I like to just look at a little zone right up in here. So you had your 618 retracement, went over 50 into the 618 zone. That qualified it, and then the market gave us that XAB retracement. So the first move back up will start the pattern. Now, when the market does move into this area, If it starts to show resistance, well, you know what? There's nothing wrong with putting a short trade on. Or down here, if you found support, there's nothing wrong with buying the market. I'm just showing you this particular pattern, the structure within it. Okay. The next phase is an ABC retracement, 38 to 88%. So from A to B down 38 to 88%, we could see that 38% would be, well, that's not it. It would be, say, here. And then the 618 would be, actually it would be right here. And the 618 would be here, and the 886 would be here. So anywhere in this zone is okay to qualify this BC leg from A. So that qualified that within the structure of the Gartley pattern. The move up becomes one of the most important moves of all of them, is this XAD retracement, which X down to A up to D gave a retracement of 786. Now it fell a little bit short, but it exceeded the 618 and was almost at that 786. So it's qualifying it. If it would have went up here, it would have been a different story. And just for the record, a lot of times I like looking at this pattern even up until the 886. Okay? I still like looking at it even if it goes that high. The difference is if this, instead of a 618, this was a 50% swing. If the market went 50% and then 886, that would be another pattern called a bat pattern, which we're going to show you. But for the Gartley, it's 618 and 786. Let me get some water. Every time I travel, I get a little cold when it's in the winter. And I just was in New York last weekend doing this presentation for traders. We had about like 15 or 20 IML members that did show up. That was exciting to see. They all came in suits and ties and looked great. That was real nice. And we spent, with the iMarkets Live guys, we spent after that, I did an hour presentation, and after that we spent 6 hours together. It was an amazing time. So we got this XABC D pattern in here. We got the X8D, which is at that 786 and qualifies it. The other one we look at is the BCD extension. And that goes between 1272 to 1618. So we can see here it went between here and here, which qualified that pattern. So everything tied in together, and that is the foundation for the trading pattern. And here I start to draw in the dots and the lines and everything that goes with it. And you can see how this is a proper Gartley pattern. Now, I also said this can also be considered as a corrective wave for Elliott. So in Elliott, how it works is typically you will get a 5-wave down. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you'll have your A, B, C corrective wave. So in the Elliott world, all right, the Elliott world, you would have this structure and this structure being the same. So essentially this would be this, this, and then you have that. Draws in, okay? I didn't draw it pretty perfectly, but you could see what I'm looking at. So this could also be an ABC corrective wave in the Elliott world. But since we're talking about harmonics, that's what we're looking at. An Elliott wave, for those that look at this in the future, or those that are looking at it, you can have your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you could see you having your impulsive legs in the structure of this bigger pattern, but on the smaller pattern, you have these minor waves that come within it. Okay, so Elliott wave does work very well with Harmonics. Okay, it's just, how you look at it. All right, but we're not really getting into Elliott Wave, but they do work together. So the targets on how you work this are, we're going to go from C to D now, okay? Or D to C. Here it is. We look at the first retracement down from C up to D of around 38%. That would be target 1, target 2, target 3. You could do one of two things. Where after your target 1 is hit, you could put your stop here at the high. And then when it turns down and hits target 2, you could put your stop either at this area or the prior swing high, depending on how much room you want to give it. After it comes up and comes down again, you could put your stop here or put your stop at the 38%. So you could use either swing highs or the retracement levels. And the goal is to get down to target 3. Now, does it always make that? No. Sometimes it hits here and swings up, or hits here and does this. This is a perfect pattern, and in a perfect world, that's what happened. But does it always happen? No, it doesn't always happen. That's why you want to trail your stop, that when you hit your target, you want to bring your stops down to an area so that you protect a little bit of profit. All right. Here's a pattern. This is actually part of our scanner. We have the new scanner product coming out, which is really exciting. It actually identifies, it draws this in automatically for you. So this would be the bearish Gartley. Give you the pattern, the AUDCAD. It's on a daily chart. It gives you the coordinates, XAB, ABC, CD, and XAD. It gives you entry, your risk, your targets. So what we did was we set it up as a scanner that draws this in, and you could physically do the trade. You can enter, you could put your own risk, and you could take your own profits, or we set it up as an automatic trader that it automatically will trade for you. It'll hit a certain point, it'll put your entries in, and then when it moves down, it'll move your risk. It's amazing. So we do have that as part of iMarkets Live. Currently, this is the first week of March. It'll be out within the next, we have the first scanner, the first auto trader coming out, and this one's coming out after. So I'm not going to give a date on the video. But it's already completed, and we're just doing some fine stuff behind it. So we'll get that to the market very shortly. So this is the bat pattern. The bat pattern is your X, A, B, C, D, similar to what we saw as a Gartley. The difference is that this retracement for Gartley was a 618 retracement from XA down to B, and then with the bat pattern, it's a 50%. Now, the D pattern, this is an 8, 8, 6. The Gartley went to 786. So that's essentially the core difference, except right here, instead of a 1272 to 1618 extension, you have a 1618 to 2618. On the BCD, and the XAD is 886 rather than 786. And this is the same, and that was the same, XAB. So 38 to 50% down, and then it does this. But this right here comes to an 886 retracement from X low, A high, D, and your stop is always at that 103%. So the Gartley similar, but just a slight little bit of changes. Here's example of a bat off our scanner. I built the scanner. I originally had it built, And the goal was just to have it for myself. I wasn't looking at it as an auto trader, but I looked at it as I could just have something myself, and it's what I use. And I started thinking, well, I can create an auto trader for it also. And it took a long time to do that because it had to do all the risk and the management and account sizes. But what we've ended up creating is something that's absolutely ridiculously great. Can't even say enough about it. It is phenomenal. So this is something that a person can have on their own computer. So I didn't build it for that purpose. I built it for my own purpose, and then realized I could take it to a whole nother level. And it just took me, took the programmer, not me, I don't program. It took the programmer quite a while to get it together. And it's really beautiful to watch it work live. And right here you have the bat pattern. You can see the core structure. You get X down to A, up to B, down to C, up to D, and you can see it just continuously calculates all the different levels as it's working. And it's just phenomenal. I love this thing. Here's another bat pattern. You can see the market hits the level. It draws the pattern in. This pattern's drawn automatically, but the structure is here. X, A, B, C, D. D qualifies. You can see it hit the targets on the way up. Now, if we were looking at this where you would put your stop in this area, if it hit this, you could see that even though this leg went up, it wouldn't have qualified. It would have been out of the trade down here. But still, there's nothing wrong with capturing all this move. Have you done it where you're moving the structure, the stops to the prior D point, then this would have took this whole move. Okay, so it's all depending on how you want to look at it. In this particular example, this is the shark pattern, and the shark pattern is interesting because you're looking at the X drives up to A, then comes down pretty shallow, then drives up again, and then comes all the way down. Now, it will stop at an 886 retracement of the XA, or will come down to a 113, or anywhere in between. So it would look something like this. So this is the shark pattern, as you see, and the zone is here to here. So anywhere in that zone. And you can see it hit a 1272, it hit the 50% retracement, it hit all the qualified spots, and then hit the zone and ended up taking a swing straight up. Eventually make a much bigger swing, but it doesn't qualify for the pattern. The next one is the butterfly, and here's your X, A, B, C, D. And this is actually what it looks like on the scanner, the client scanner. I just took this out. I was showing them up in New York. This is what the scanner actually looks like. It doesn't put all the coordinates in here. It draws them out because everything's already done behind the scenes, all the calculations. So in this particular example, this is the EURCAD, and here it is right in here. It draws out the butterfly. It shows when it qualified was 16 hours ago at the time of this print, and it fell within the structure of the zone. We have a percentage that we use. It's 9%. And we found 9% works the best. So what it doesn't mean it's trading it from here. It means it starts identifying it 9%. Our trader alone, it would have to come a little bit higher for us to trade it. So this wouldn't have qualified for us to physically trade on the auto trader, but on the scanner itself, if we saw a pattern, if it went down a little bit and gave us a little entry, we could have traded it. But regardless, this is what it looked like. It was on an hourly chart. Just drawing in the pictures to show you what it looks like and how it identifies, and it comes up on a scan. And for those that are probably asking, how does the auto trader work? Well, your account has an amount. Okay, it has a balance in there, and every time a pattern shows up, it'll trigger into the account. Now, depending on the size of your account, it'll then determine if it's going to do more trades, how big. It takes into those considerations. So I know because I had mentioned it, I would get questions on it. So just to eliminate those questions, it kind of knows everything in terms of your account size, the risk, the reward, how much you could trade, and so on and so forth. But for this particular structure here, this is the butterfly pattern, and that's another example. Right now, currently, the S&P futures have what's called a butterfly pattern. And this actually went like this and then came back down like that so far. So it's qualifying right now for those of you who want to look at a chart of the S&P futures, and you could draw this in yourself. And you can see it came right up in this area. The patterns are the Gartley pattern. All right, these are the ones we look at. The Gartley pattern where you get X, A, B, C, D. X to A, back down to D, has to qualify with a 618. B to C has to go 386 to 382 to 886. The C to D leg has to have a 1272 to 1618 extension. And the XD has to have a 786. That's the bullish side. This is a bearish side. Bullish, bearish. The next one is the bat pattern that we discussed. That retracement comes down 38 to 50%. This swing down is 1618 to 2618, and that XAD is an 886. The alternate bat, instead of an 886, will come down to a 113 extension. I did something else called a deep bat, where I have the bat, I have it in here, so when it does this, it gives me another little signal. The crab pattern is interesting because you have your 38 to 61% retracement. You have this, and you have this structure, right? You have this whole structure. All right. In the Gartley pattern, it would have ended here. Remember? And the butterfly, which we're going to show, comes down a little bit deeper here and then down. But in the crab pattern, comes down as a 1618 from X to A. Everything's from X to A. Then down here. The deep crab gives this 1618 still, but this first retracement down is an 886. So instead of the shallower 382 to 618, it's an 886, which would extend this also. The butterfly pattern goes from XA to D. B is a 786. Then you have your BCD extension, and then your X to D. Now, when this was first brought to the light, Bryce Gilmore basically qualified it as a 1272 extension. But Scott Carney had added the 1618, so we put it in there. So that zone, it'll give a zone just like that. So 1272 to 1618. It'll look something like that on the chart. The shark pattern, which we drew in, would give that 886 to 113 extension. And as I mentioned earlier, the shark X to C, this right here, goes above A. C goes above A and then drives down. You still have your A to B, C to D relationship in there. So these you can go back and look at, and you can take the coordinates, look at them on your own charts. So once you can rewind the video. The cipher has a 382 to 1618 and goes up and then down. So if we look at the difference between the shark doesn't have a coordinate here. It has the coordinates here. Okay, you see that? That's the difference. All right, 786 right into that zone. These are all derivatives from the Gartley pattern. All right, this is the Harmonics scanner. This is what it looks like. At the end, it draws up and picks out the patterns, draws them out, gives you your zone to work with, And Muhammad Ali said, which is the greatest example of the success mindset, is if my mind can conceive it and my heart can believe it, then I can achieve it. You lose nothing when fighting for a cause. In my mind, the losers are those who don't have a cause they care about. To be a great champion, you must believe you are the best. Even if you're not, you have to pretend that you are. When I first started looking at the markets, I kept on saying, I'm the Muhammad Ali of trading. I'm the best. I'm this, I'm that. And I had to psych myself up to feel that I'm worthy of being a trader. Champions are not made in the gyms. Champions are made from something they have deep inside them, a desire, a dream, a vision. They have that last-minute stamina. They have to be faster. They have to have that skill in the will, but the will must be stronger than the skill. All right? That's us, the network marketers, the traders. You have to be in that all the time. If you're trading and your account is down on the day, you have to know you're going to come back. You have to know you're going to win. You are out there doing your network marketing and you're contacting people and you're sponsoring and people are quitting and you put new ones in and you just know you're going to drive for that next level. You're going to hit those infinity bonuses. You're going to move and grow and your people may turn around and some guy get negative or he may take and hurt some part of your organization. But you know what? Your will must be bigger than your skill. It's how many times you're out there contacting and getting no's and you're coming back one after another. The same with trading. How many times are we scalping the market and I know at the end of the day somebody says to me, well, you didn't do anything today. Yeah, I made like 18 trades and we broke even or we're down a little bit or we're up a little bit. They don't see. They don't see all the effort that you put in there. But you ended up, you have to be stronger. Your will has to be much stronger than your skill because you want to come back and do it again and again. When you sit at your desk, mentally you have to be the Muhammad Ali of trading. Successful people consume themselves with improving their craft. Countless hours of charting. Now, I did give this to a traders forum, an event. Countless hours of charting. I still chart the markets 20 years later because the markets are ever moving, ever changing, and they're just an ebb and flow. It's like the ocean. You're never gonna. You can take a snapshot of the ocean, and that's the last time in ever in a billion years the whole entire ocean is going to look like that. It's always constantly moving. There's waves and ripples and triples, and everything's moving. All right. The same thing with the market. It's alive. People can control the market. They're buying and selling and selling and buying and selling this and that and different stocks and currencies. It's always ever changing. The economy, everything's just making it move in different ways. You got to consume yourself with improving your craft and preparing for that the market may do stuff that you don't plan. And you have to have a plan of action. You have to be relentless to be the best. You have to be a pit bull, a lion. You have to be on top of the market. I allow my golden retriever here to do whatever she wants because she is a lion. Although she's a golden retriever, she thinks she's a lion when she's out there in the fields and she's running around with her hair all over the place and she sees another dog and she's or she sees people while we're in the car. She wants to protect. Now, she's a golden retriever. She can't really protect too much. She's apologized to fleas. Right, Ronnie? Good girl. So you have to be relentless to be the best. I was never nice. I was never timid. I've always been bold. I've always been aggressive, and I always teach that. You cannot be successful being weak and laying down. You got to get up and just start forging forward. You have to be willing to do things today that others won't in order to have tomorrow what others can't. You put the time in today to learn how to trade, to learn how to chart, to identify the patterns, to identify things that will help you tomorrow. Do the work today. It's going to be pain and anguish. It is. It's not easy. If it was easy, then everybody would be rich. They would be living in the big homes that we have. They would have the phenomenal cars, the money in the bank, the jewelries, anything that you aspire to, you can have. When you've succeeded, you can have whatever you want. But because you put in the time, if you don't put in the time, then you're going to have what you always had. You follow? If you're working 50 hours, 70 hours a week, if you're never getting ahead, if you can't save any money, if you're stressing out all the time over money, if your wife has to get up and go to work and because you don't do enough and your spouse has to go to work, that's your fault. The last thing I want is my spouse to get up and go to work someplace else and say, hello, boss, every day and do whatever the boss tells her. There is no way that's going to happen. I want you to be in that position that you say, you know what, honey? You don't have to go to work because I'm trading, because I'm successful, because I'm building an IML market, iMarkets Live network marketing business. I'm building 10, 20, 50,000 a month, but I'm also trading, making fortunes. That's what you want. You want to do today what others won't so you can have what others can't. And if you want anything worthwhile, said Les Brown, you gotta be hungry. Remember he said that? Look up Les Brown, hungry. All right? And you'll see on YouTube, he's like, you gotta be hungry. It's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than have an opportunity and not be prepared. That's the same as driving. It's good to know how to drive and prepare in case somebody pulls out in the middle of the street. You press the brake. Then just driving aimlessly and smashing into walls. You want to always be prepared in case something happens. You know, when I go out, I make it my business that I always try to look nice. I'll put a jacket, a blazer, nice shoes, pants. I'll put a nice shirt. When I go out in the public, whether it's to the store, whether it's to dinner, I travel, I get on an airplane, I'm always looking sharp. All right? Why? Because some of the people I've met in my life that affected me were because I looked sharp and they complimented on my tie or my pocket square or my shoes. Or I said something to them and started a conversation because I look like a person of authority because I dressed nice and they were not dressed nice, or they were dressed nice and I was dressed nice. Okay? I was prepared. You want to always be prepared. So it goes throughout your whole life, everything. Good hygiene, look good, mentally on the right track, you know, success, always thinking about positive, always thinking about success. When you wake up in the morning and, you know, what are things you do? You want to look in the mirror. And you want to look in that mirror and say, hello, boss. I'm a success today. I'm going to create wealth today. I'm doing whatever it takes. And you go on and on. And you talk to yourself and you tell yourself how much of a success you are. I'm going to change lives today. I'm going to do such and such today. I'm in the process of getting better every single day, more successful every single day. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to lay down. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll pay the full price. I'll pay the full price of success. I will not be denied. You have to speak to yourself in this level. Trading is easy. The hard part is the mindset. The mindset is what messes you up. Look, we all see the pattern, right? But are we all prepared to buy the pattern? Right? Right. And those who were at the live services, we had given them a month free to check it out. And if anybody signs up, great. If not, great. They're actually, I spoke to a group of traders, you know, people who already trade, so that was good. So if you don't have it, iMarkets Live people, here's my address. Here's all the information you need. Like us on YouTube, like the Facebook. If you need anything on the email. All right. Rock and roll. And thank you for attending the show. Have a great day. Now, if I knew how to stop this thing, it would be great, right? Boop. Okay. And we're going to stop